Hello grade 5, this is Miss Mary and today we will start new unit 11, lesson 1, and this is the first video in the fourth quarter. So let's start. What are the oceans like? Please open with me page 491 and keep the book beside you because we have some questions we are going to solve together. Let's start. Ocean water. Oceans cover almost 71% of the Earth's surface. As we know that the Earth from the space looks blue, and that's why astronauts, they call it the blue marble. Because most of the Earth's surface is covered with water. It's almost 71% of its surface covered with water. As we see here also, the land mass with green, the continents with green color between them, separates them the ocean water. How many oceans do we have on Earth's surface? We have 5 oceans and we will know them all, and which one is the biggest, which one is the smallest, we will see now. So let's move to the next slide. How many oceans on Earth? We have 5 oceans. So there are 5 oceans on Earth's surface. Let's say them together. Here on this side, the Pacific Ocean, as you see here in this side, the Pacific Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean is all around the Earth from the other side until here. So this means that the Pacific Ocean is the biggest or the largest. After this we have the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is here between Africa, here, this is Africa, and North America and South America. So here in the middle that separates Africa from America is the Atlantic Ocean, and this is the second biggest one. Then we have the Indian Ocean near India. Here is India, so this part, this ocean, we call it Indian Ocean, number 3. And then we have here the Southern Ocean near the Antarctica, and this number 4, and the smallest one up here, the Arctic Ocean near the North Pole, which is the smallest one. So let's say them together again. Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arctic, Southern Ocean. Here are all the oceans we have on Earth. So let's move to the next slide. This question in the book, page 493, so please open it and let's solve it together. Label the graph with the ocean names to show their part of the ocean surface. In this question, he gives us the pie graph or the circle graph. This circle graph, it shows us the percentage for each ocean here in this pie graph. The green part here is 46%, and this goes for the biggest ocean, which is, do you remember? Which one should be here beside the green part? Yes, Pacific Ocean. So the first one would be Pacific Ocean. Here the purple part here is 23%, and this is the second one after the Pacific Ocean. Yes, this would be for the Atlantic Ocean, which is between Africa and America. The next one, 21%, the orange color, and this will go for which ocean, number 3? Yes, the Indian Ocean. Then the red part here from the circle graph, 6%, Southern Ocean on the South Pole. And finally we have the 4%, the blue one, the blue part. This would be represents, the Arctic Ocean, the last one. So here we arranged the oceans from largest to the smallest on Earth's surface. Now you have to write this down in the question in the book, and after let's go to the next part. So what makes the ocean water salty? As we remember from the last year that the water cycle, as we know in the water cycle that the water evaporates up, goes up, and then it goes down again in a process called water cycle. In the water cycle, the water evaporates and then it condenses and then it rains or it goes down. And as the water goes down, it washes out all the minerals and the salt in the land. Can you see here this part? And this process actually called runoff. The water goes back to the ocean and takes all the minerals and salts in its way back to the ocean. And after this, the water evaporates again and leaves only the salt in the water. Over many years, this process changes the ocean water into very salty water. So let's read this together. What is the source of salt in ocean's water? The salt in the water comes from washing out minerals from land. Then water evaporates from the surface, leaving salt behind. It's like when you try to boil some water with salt, try to boil them, and you will find out that the water evaporates and the salt will stay in the pan or the pot for it. The salt water is more than fresh water, as we see here also in this pie graph. We will find that the salt water takes about 97.5% of the water on the Earth's surface, while the fresh water is only 2.5%, too little, and that's why we have to take care of the fresh water and use them carefully. We find the fresh water in rivers, underground, and some lakes. While salt water, of course, most of them in oceans and also seas, and some lakes as well. Okay, this is, for example, like if you have 100 cups of water, 97 cups will be salt water and only 3 cups will be fresh water. This is an example to imagine how much fresh water do we have. Very little. We will speak about 4 things about all oceans, or 4 characteristics or properties that all oceans have, and what happens to them as we go down. The first property we will speak about today is salinity. Salinity comes from the word salt. What is salinity? Salinity is the amount of salt in water. As you see here in the picture, we have white thing. This white thing is called salt. This is salt. And this is the Dead Sea, if you heard about it before, the Dead Sea. In the Dead Sea, the amount of evaporation is more than the amount of rain or the precipitation. And that's why more water evaporates and leaving the salt behind. When the water evaporates and leaves the salt behind, the salt, as we see here, found as white rock. So this means that all oceans have salt in the water, but because of the evaporation and the precipitation, they are equal, so we don't see salt usually. But if you try to boil some sea salt, some sea water, you will find the salt left behind. And down and up, they all have the same amount of salt, which is salinity. Number 2, the second thing we will speak about today for oceans is the temperature. As depth increases, or as we go down in the ocean, the temperature decreases or becomes colder. And that's logic, because on the top layer, as we see here, we find that the sunlight comes and reaches the upper layer more than down. As you go down, then the amount of light decreases. And that's what makes the upper layer warmer than the bottom. The bottom is very cold, and maybe you tried this before while going diving or snorkeling or even in the pool. When you go down, you will find that when you go deeper, the water gets colder, right? But on the top layer or near to the beach, you will find the water is warm. So this means that the sun heats the upper part of the water, but most of the ocean is deep and the temperature between 0 and 3 Celsius. This means that sometimes in the ocean, in the bottom of the ocean, the temperature can reach 0, which is very, very cold, freezing, like freezing. So number 3, light. Light decreases as the water becomes more deeper. As we said, that the top layer gets more light than bottom. As we go down in the ocean, we find that it's darker and darker and darker, and even in some places in very deep oceans you cannot see even light. It's totally dark. So for till now we spoke about the salinity. We said it's the amount of salt in water, and it doesn't change as we go down. We spoke also about temperature. We said the temperature on the top is warmer than down. As we go down in the ocean, it gets colder and lower. Also, we spoke about the light. The light decreases as we go down in the ocean, or as we go more deeper in the ocean. Number 4, the water pressure. What means water pressure? Pressure means down push on a water. If you try to push something before or squeeze something before, you are applying pressure. So pressure means push. The downward push of water. As you go down in the water presses more on your body. And that's why if you go diving or snorkeling or something before and you're trying to go deeper, you will find that your ears are hurting you because of the pressure on the ears. And that's why divers, they have to know how to control or how to adjust the pressure on their ears, because sometimes it can cause problems on the ears. As depth increases, the pressure of the water increases too. Here we have 2 divers for snorkeling, one on the top, and this person here, he doesn't have too much water on his body, but down, as you go down, you have more water on the body. Look, this person will have more pressure on his body because he goes deeper. So as you go deeper in the ocean, more water up pressing down or pushing down on you. And this water pressure sometimes can squeeze things and destroy things, like in this picture here, the water pressure, we have the cup here on 0 meters or on the surface of the water. It was on the top, and on the other side here, this after we took the cup down in 1,500 meters deep. Look what happened to the cup because of the pressure. It looks like someone squeezed it into, like when you squeeze can of soda by pressure or size. This is because of the water pressure. So this means as we go down in the ocean, more water pressing on us, so this pressure what increases. Here, how do we know about oceans floor? Maybe scientists, they know very few about oceans. They don't know a lot about oceans floor because, as we said, ocean floor is very dark, very cold, very high pressure, and that's why not any submarines can reach very deep oceans, but they use a special kind of submarines called submersibles. And these submersibles can solve many problems, like light. If we see here, this submersible has light, and also it can solve the problem of the temperature inside here. They can adjust the temperature, not so it doesn't destroy or squeeze or something when it goes very deep. So the submersibles like submarines, special submarines that adapted to go very deep in oceans. Here also, this picture in your book, submersibles provide passengers with air, light, and protection from water pressure. If you have the book, please highlight this part, that the submersibles solved many problems, like give air. They have a special tanks to give oxygen to the people inside, and also light because they have lamps outside, and they protect the people from the high pressure of the water, and of course the cold temperature. They have heaters to adjust the temperature inside. In this question, also in the book, page 495, write solutions to 2 of the problems you circled in the text. Do you remember the paragraph that I told you to highlight? What 2 problems the submersibles solve it for people? Actually, they are not 2, they are more, but here he needs only 2. Yes, they solved the problem of the light, the darkness, and also the body temperature, and they solved the problem of the water pressure. So let's see the answer, and please write it down in your book. Submersibles provide protection from high water pressure and extreme cold